My fiance and sister. A betrayal I never saw coming. The truth is, I never expected my world to shatter quite like this. One minute I was planning a wedding, the next was staring at the ruins of my life. All thanks to the two people I trusted most. My name is Sarah, and until recently, I was living a pretty ordinary life. I have a steady job as a project manager, and for 6 years, I was engaged to Rick, a dependable, always there for me kind of guy. Then there's my younger sister, Lila. Everyone always called her the fun one. Where I was the bookworm, the career-focused type, Lila was the social butterfly, always chasing the next thrill. Despite our differences, we were incredibly close, practically inseparable. Or so I thought. The first crack in our perfect facade appeared about 2 months ago. It started with a knowing feeling, a subtle sense that something was off. Rick started working late more often, and when he was home, he seemed distant, constantly glued to his phone as if waiting for a message, an invitation. I told myself I was being paranoid, that work was just demanding. But then came that fateful Saturday family dinner. My parents, bless their hearts, host these every week, a tradition mum refuses to break. Rick, Lila, my parents, and I were all there. That night, something felt different. Rick, usually polite but somewhat reserved around my family, kept glancing at Lila, who in turn seemed unusually attentive to him. It sent a shiver of unease down my spine. After dinner, Rick made a quick exit, and Lila, claiming she needed some fresh air, followed him outside. I stayed behind with my parents, trying to shake off the feeling. Over the next few days, I started noticing Lila's name popping up on Rick's phone screen. Just Lila checking in, he'd say with a nonchalant shrug. It sounded plausible, but something didn't quite add up. Why was she always checking in with him and not with me, her sister? I finally decided to confront Rick. One night, I sat him down in the living room, took a deep breath, and said, "Rick, can we talk?" He looked up with that easygoing smile I loved and asked, "Sure, what's up?" "I don't know, maybe it's just me, but you seem distracted lately. Is everything okay?" For a split second, I saw a flicker of panic in his eyes, but he quickly recovered. "A lot on my plate, that's all. Didn't mean to worry you. It's just, why is Lila checking in on you? We're close. She could just talk to me." Rick's face paled slightly, but he brushed it off with practice these. "Oh, come on, Sarah. You're reading into it too much. She probably feels more comfortable texting me because she doesn't want to bother you with small stuff. You know how close we all are." I forced a smile and let it drop. But that night, I lay awake, my mind racing, piecing together fragments of suspicion and wondering if I was losing my mind. Was I becoming paranoid and insecure? Then, a few days later, my friend Kelly sent me a text. "Hey girl, just saw Rick at cafe on 3rd Street with Lila. Cute lunch outing without you." My stomach plummeted. Rick had told me he'd be working through lunch, and Lila hadn't mentioned meeting him. They both knew I'd be at work. It felt wrong, but I needed proof. I texted both of them, "Hey, what are you up to?" No response. I waited, then called Rick, straight to voicemail. My heart pounded as I grabbed my keys and drove straight to the cafe, barely registering the journey. And then I saw them, Rick and Lila, sitting at a small table by the window, leaning in close, talking in hushed voices. And then Lila reached across the table and took his hand. Time seemed to freeze. Everything I knew, everything I believed in, shattered in that moment. My fiance, the man I was supposed to spend my life with, and my own sister were sitting there like lovers. I stood there, staring through the window, my mind numb with disbelief. Finally, I forced myself to believe before they could spot me. I drove home, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white, fighting back tears. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, replaying the scene over and over in my head. The next morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I called Lila and told her we needed to talk. I could hear the hesitation in her voice, but she agreed to come over. When she arrived at my apartment, she asked, "What's going on?" I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "Lila, I want you to be honest with me. Are you and Rick seeing each other behind my back?" She didn't answer right away, staring at the floor, avoiding my gaze. "Fine, you want the truth?" "Yes, we've been seeing each other. But honestly, Sarah, are you really that surprised?" Her words hit me like a physical blow. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What do you mean?" She rolled her eyes, her face contorted with bitterness. "Rick and I just have a connection, okay? We didn't mean for it to happen. He told me he only stayed with you because he felt sorry for you. He didn't want to hurt you." I felt my whole world crumble around me. "Lila, how could you do this to me? You're my sister. We're supposed to be family. How could you betray me like this?" Lila sighed, looking exasperated. "Sarah, grow up. Rick and I just understand each other in a way you'll never get." "I'm sorry if that hurts, but it's the truth." I was speechless, my heart pounding in my chest. "Get out," I whispered, barely able to contain my anger. I said, "Get out. I can't even look at you right now." She hesitated for a moment, as if she was about to argue, But then she shrugged and left without another word. I was left standing there, feeling like I was trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. My hands were shaking, and I felt numb, as if I was watching someone else's life fall apart. But there was one more confrontation I had to face. Rick was due home that night. I couldn't move forward without hearing him say it, without knowing if he was truly the monster my sister had painted him to be. When he finally walked in the door, he barely glanced at me, tossing his keys onto the counter just like any other night. I watched him in silence. "We need to talk," I said. He looked up, surprised at the coldness in my voice. "Sure," he said, sounding confused. "What's going on? Are you sleeping with my sister?" The words came out bluntly, but I didn't have the energy to soften them. His face went white. He just stared at me, then let out a small, disbelieving laugh. "Sarah, come on. That's ridiculous. Don't lie to me," I snapped, my voice shaking. "I saw you with her at the cafe. She told me everything." His mouth opened, then closed again. "Look, I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to. I never wanted it to go this far." I felt my stomach churn. "So, it's true," I said. "You and Lila, you've been seeing each other behind my back. And all this time, you've been lying to my face. I didn't plan for this to happen. It just happened." I don't know what else to say. "What do you mean, it just happened?" I said, my voice rising in disbelief. "You don't just accidentally fall into bed with someone else's sister. You made a choice, Rick. Every single time, you chose to betray me." He finally looked up, his expression pleading. "Look, Sarah, I know this hurts, but maybe if things had been different between us, I wouldn't have felt the need to look somewhere else." I felt like he punched me in the gut. "You're blaming me," I whispered, barely able to believe what I was hearing. "I'm not blaming you," he said, sounding exasperated. "I'm just saying things haven't exactly been perfect between us. You've been so focused on your work. Sometimes it feels like there's no room for me, so this is my fault. Then, because I wanted stability, because I trusted you, because I didn't realize I needed to babysit my fiance to keep him from sleeping with my sister." He flinched, and for a moment, I saw a glimmer of regret in his eyes. "I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry. I messed up." But Lila and we connected in a way that I haven't felt in a long time. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I couldn't listen to this anymore. "Get out," I said, my voice barely more than a whisper. "I don't want to see you. Just get out." Rick hesitated, looking as if he wanted to argue, but then he nodded and grabbed his keys. He paused at the door, as if he might say something, but then he just left, closing the door quietly behind him. The silence that followed was suffocating. I collapsed onto the couch, feeling like I had lost my fiance and my sister in one fell swoop. The two people I thought I could trust more than anyone else had torn my life apart. In the days that followed, I felt like I was sleepwalking through my own life. I went through the motions of working, eating, and sleeping, barely. Friends reached out, offering support, but I couldn't bring myself to talk about what had happened. I felt hollow and empty. Kelly, my closest friend, finally managed to drag me out for a coffee one afternoon, insisting that I needed some fresh air. When I was done venting, she reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "Sarah, I can't believe they did this to you. I mean, Lila, of all people. And Rick, he didn't deserve you." Swallowing hard, I said, "I just don't know how to move on from this." "You don't have to figure it all out right now," she said. "Take it one day at a time. And remember, you're not alone in this." Her words were comforting, and I went back to my apartment feeling a little lighter, but still haunted by the betrayal that had shattered my life. A few weeks later, I got a message from Lila. She wanted to meet to talk things over. At first, I couldn't bear the thought of seeing her, of facing the woman who had been my sister, my best friend, and my betrayer. But after days of wrestling with my emotions, I decided that maybe I needed to hear her out, that maybe closure was the only way I could truly start to heal. We met at a park near my apartment. Lila was already there, sitting on a bench, looking nervous. When she saw me approach, her face filled with a mixture of guilt and relief. "Thank you for coming, Sarah," she said softly. I didn't respond, crossing my arms and waiting for her to speak. "Sarah, I know what I did was unforgivable. I don't even know how to explain it. I was selfish. I'm so sorry." I took a deep breath. "Why, Lil, why would you do this? You're my sister. I trusted you more than anyone." Tears filled her eyes, and she looked down at her hands. I don't know. I wish I had a good reason. But the truth is, you've always had everything together. You've always been so sure of yourself. And I've always felt like I was in your shadow. When Rick and when we started talking, I don't know, he understood me in a way that no one else did. "You were jealous," I said, my voice flat. "So you decided to ruin my life, to steal my fiance. How is that supposed to make anything better?" She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I know, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I don't know how to fix this. There is no fixing this. Lila, you made your choice, and now we both have to live with it." She looked up at me, desperation in her eyes. "Sarah, please, I know I don't deserve it, but I need you to forgive me. I can't stand the thought of losing you." I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I saw the depth of her selfishness. I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive you, Lila, I said. Maybe someday I'll be able to let go of the anger, but I can't let you be part of my life anymore. She didn't say anything else, just turned and walked away, leaving me alone in the park, feeling a strange mixture of relief and sorrow. In the months that followed, I slowly began to rebuild my life. I moved out of the apartment I shared with Rick, started therapy, and focused on my own healing. One day I received a letter from Lila. It was short, just a few lines. Sarah, I know I've lost you, but I hope one day you'll find it in your heart to let go of the pain I caused. I'll never forgive myself for hurting you. I miss you, and I'll always love you, even if you can't say the same. I read the letter a few times. Maybe I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I realized I didn't have to hold on to the pain forever. Lila's betrayal would always be a part of my story, but it didn't have to define me. I put the letter away in a box of memories from my past life with Rick. I didn't open that box again, but I didn't throw it away either. I focused on my career, throwing myself into projects and discovering how fulfilling it felt to accomplish things on my own, without needing validation from anyone else. I reconnected with friends I had lost touch with over the years and discovered a community that became like a new family. Cautiously, slowly, I rebuilt my life with a new understanding of my own boundaries and worth. A year passed. I was stronger, more confident, and more at peace with myself. The pain was still there, like an old scar that had healed. Then one day, as I was sitting in a cafe reading a book, I saw Rick. He looked different, worn down. He spotted me and hesitated. I gave him a nod, a small gesture of acknowledgement. Sarah, he said softly, a hesitant smile on his face. It's been a while. Yes, it has. I could see he was trying to gauge my reaction. There was just a quiet acceptance, the memory of our relationship. Looking uncomfortable, he said, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. I know that doesn't mean much now, but I regret what happened. I lost you, and things didn't work out between Lila and me. I raised an eyebrow. I'm sorry to hear that, Rick, I said, not really feeling sorry at all. But he deserves to feel the weight of his choices. He nodded. I understand. I hurt you both, and I have to live with that. I just wanted you to know that I am truly sorry. Thank you, I replied genuinely. But I've moved on. I've forgiven myself, and I am happy now. That's all that matters. He looked like he wanted to say more, but he held back. Take care, Sarah, he said. You too, I replied, watching him walk away. As he left, I felt a sense of closure I hadn't realized I'd been missing. I smiled, took a sip of my coffee, and returned to my book, feeling like the world was wide open to me once again. I was ready to keep moving forward, stronger, wiser, and above all, happy. So, read it after hearing my story. Do you think I handled the situation the best way I could have? I'm still grappling with the choices I made, particularly in regards to my sister, and I'd really value your perspectives on whether cutting her out of my life was the right decision, or if there was a different path I could have taken toward healing. I'm open to hearing all your thoughts, even if they challenge my own, as I'm still trying to process everything that happened and learn from this experience. I appreciate you taking the time to read my story and share your opinions.